The start of the day for kids at City Academy in inner city Bristol.
Walk, please. Don't run.
It's a school where more than 70% of the students are from black and ethnic minority communities, and it's where I work.
I'm Aisha Thomas. I'm Bristolian, I'm black, I'm a teacher and also an assistant principal, and that makes me rare.
Until we live in a society where your skin colour doesn't matter in all aspects of life, then it would be very naive to believe that it's not going to matter in the school setting.
If I had more black teachers out teaching me, it would definitely make a difference on my education.
We do need more black teachers. Children should be able to see themselves in actually all the roles they see around them.
The lack of black teachers in Bristol is worrying a lot of people. The Runnymede Trust, a race equality think tank, says there are huge disadvantages in education for black people in Bristol, and too few black teachers is a big part of the problem. If life gets off to a bad start, your chances of success are massively reduced. I'm going to talk to people who are affected by that and people who can change it, but the bell's gone and it's maths first.
Good morning, class. Today's lesson we're going to be looking at the number of secondary schools we have in Bristol.
My students are working out how many black teachers there are in those schools.
We currently have 19 secondary schools. Of those secondary schools, there are 1,346 teachers. Now, how many of those teachers do you think are black? So there are 26 black teachers in Bristol secondary schools. Shania, you had 35, so your answer is the nearest. We had numbers as big as 436, which demonstrates that we felt that the number of black teachers was much larger in Bristol than what it actually is. Now we're going to work this out as a percentage. The first pair to get this right will get 5 achievement points. Let's go. Okay, guys, can you reveal your answers, please? Okay, so the answer is 1.9%. So there are 1.9% of black teachers in Bristol secondary schools. Well done, Sammy, because you got the answer the fastest. Your mathematician skills are up there with Carol Vorderman.
What do the students make of that 1.9%, especially compared to the black population of Bristol, which is 6%?
It's actually shocking because you would expect there to be more.
So they're shocked, but what difference does it really make to their education?
If they had a black teacher, it would make me feel more comfortable.
If we had more black teachers, it would make such a difference because kids would see that everyone's being represented.
Guys, you've worked really hard this lesson. Thank you. It's break time. Let's go.
Good to hear from students, but let's talk to some teachers. This is Terry Henry. He's Bristol born and bred, and he's been teaching maths for 19 years, and he's got a very long memory.
When I was a kid at school, there was one black teacher, Miss Griffiths. Now I remember thinking how lovely it was to have a black teacher, but the fact is it was one black teacher, and it would have been nice to have seen more.
And what's school like for him now?
If you look at my school, for example, 30% of the kids are black. I believe that if you then had an equal representation, 30% of the teachers, I do believe this would be an environment that the kids could relate to more. In my ideal world, black kids would think actually it's normal to see a black teacher rather than a novelty.
Are there signs that things are getting better in Bristol?
I can't say that I've seen progress.
What a shame.
It's
a real shame.
It is unfortunate.
Another Bristolian teacher I want to talk to is my old friend Shauna. She's a proper Bristol girl like me, but the thing is she's never taught in her city of birth. So why is that?
The experiences that I'm getting in London, I wouldn't be able to get that in Bristol. My first teaching school in London, the head teacher of an inner city challenging secondary school was a black woman of Jamaican descent. The vice principal of that school was from Trinidad.
Wow.
So when you look at that, they're at the top of the structure within a school setting. That is inspirational. I don't get as inspired when I look at schools in Bristol.
Why does skin colour matter in teaching?
Whatever ethnic group you have within your school, there should always be a teacher to reflect that culture. People need to remember that schools are a reflection of the wider society generally. When I walk out of those classroom doors.
Great to catch up with Shauna. She's given me plenty to think about. But I've got an appointment with my boss now, and he's someone who's got the power to act and change things. I told him our students were shocked by the low numbers of black teachers in Bristol. Does he find it shocking?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't find it shocking. I find it wrong, but it doesn't surprise me.
Should we have more black teachers in the school? I mean, we have over 70% of our students from the BME community.
Yes, I'm going to put a clause on it.
Yeah.
They've got to be good.
What is City Academy doing to recruit more black teachers?
Well, not a lot at the moment. We're beginning to look at things. We've got to try and recruit our own, because we are proactively identifying colleagues in the building where we're going, we think you've got the skills and the knowledge, and what can we do to put things in place for you so you can begin down that route.
Do you think, as a white middle-class male, you are the right person to be encouraging and inspiring those people, even within our own grown?
It's a fair challenge. I suppose the other thing is but if I don't do it? You know, one of the things I'm very conscious about is that I'm a principal with a huge amount of influence.
Absolutely.
So if I don't do it, who else is going to do it? And I am the leader.
And do you think that we need to recruit more black teachers?
But my problem always comes back to where we're going to get them from. We can set ourselves a ridiculous target. I'm going to recruit 10% of BME staff, or whatever it is. But unless they're there, and unless they're applying, unless they're trained to teach, then you're not going to recruit them.
It sounds like John wants to employ more black teachers, but he's concerned there aren't many coming through. Perhaps the solution will be the universities where teachers are trained. But we need to know the numbers, so it's back to class.
So now we're going to look at the universities that we have in our area and the number of trainee teachers that we have. In the University West of England, we have just 1.2% of trainee teachers, which is less than the original 1.9% of black teachers that we currently have in Bristol secondary schools.
And the figures are similarly low in other West universities.
I really want to know what you think about it.
Thank you very much.
Over the past 5 years, UE Bristol has trained the most teachers in our region, yet only 1.2% of them are black. And meeting the woman in charge of their teacher training courses.
I'm really worried about it. We all are. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who didn't think this was an issue, because it is not enough, and it particularly isn't representative in somewhere like Bristol. We want them to see black teachers and black leaders in their classrooms.
What is it that is stopping black people becoming teachers?
If it's one issue, maybe would have fixed it. It's lots of different issues. It's awful to think it, but I suspect that for quite a lot of children, they'll see teaching as a white profession. We've also got an issue of underattainment amongst some groups, including black pupils. The issue we have is simply not enough applications. We're actively going into schools and colleges who have higher proportions of BME pupils to encourage them. We're taking our student ambassadors with us who are from those groups as well. We'll have to work very hard against a shrinking pool of applications, but we certainly want to exceed what we've managed in the past, and we're working very hard to try and achieve it.
So I've heard from the students, teachers and people with power. Their message is clear. They all say they want more black teachers, but to me it looks like the numbers show we're actually going backwards. And
to be honest, I'm really shocked by what I found. I thought it was going to be bad, but not this bad. But I found some hope in the form of one of my pupils.
I think that I might really consider being a teacher now, because I think that I might inspire and might impact the future generation of black kids.